Join us now for Contact with Cheryl McKenzie.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Some know it's nature, some believe it's nurture, while others believe it happens because of some event or circumstance, or it's just a phase that a teenager will grow out of. I'm talking about when men turn to men and when women turn to women. That's right, maybe you've guessed already. Our topic this evening is about being two-spirited. And when people aren't comfortable with intimate relationships that are not between a man and a woman, homophobia often enters the picture. We'll be talking about all this and more over this next hour. So tonight we ask, what does the term two-spirited mean to you? Call us right now with your thoughts toll free at 1-877-647-2786, or you can email us at contact@aptn.ca. Joining me in studio is Albert McLeod. He's one of the directors from the Two-Spirited People of Manitoba. Albert is Métis born and raised in the Pas. He's an activist for the rights of Aboriginal Two-Spirit people and has been a leader in the AIDS awareness movement for over 20 years. Albert is currently the team leader for Gani Ganichik, and that means Those Who Lead, United Against Racism program. Thank you very much for being here, Albert. Also in studio is Lauren Olson. He is Ojibwe from Broken Head First Nation in Manitoba. Lauren is a filmmaker who recently produced Our Place in the Circle, a tribute to the tenacity of two-spirited people working to reclaim their once integral role in Aboriginal communities. And we have Candy Palmater taking part in our discussion from CTV Studios in St. John's, Newfoundland. Candy is a Mi'kmaq from Eel River Bar in Nova Scotia. She's a comedian and host of The Candy Show. Her pilot aired on APTN recently. She's also what she calls a recovered lawyer. Welcome to the show, Candy.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. Just to let you know, actually, Eel River Bar is in New Brunswick. It's where my dad is from. I'm based out of Halifax in Nova Scotia, but I'm coming to you from Newfoundland.
Oh, right, okay.
And I've been on a plane all day, so you'll have to excuse the hair, makeup, and outfit.
You're beautiful.
I'm actually quite slender and beautiful when I have hair and makeup, just so that we know that. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, we'll get to you just in a couple of minutes. I just want to start with you, Albert. Can you tell everyone who is watching, who are two-spirited people?
Well, I think about 18 years ago, the Aboriginal people who are gay and lesbian, that's what we were calling ourselves, gay and lesbian or transgender people. And then we had a gathering here in Manitoba in 1990, and then a new term was sort of brought to us, and it was called Two-Spirit. And we embraced that term because it is about gender, male and female gender, and that around diversity in terms of sexual orientation or gender that would be inclusive of gays and lesbians. It is a way of defining ourselves, but more from a traditional point of view, an Indigenous point of view. And then actually in the Aboriginal languages, there are terms for people who are gay or lesbian or transsexual or transgender people historically. And I think the term Two-Spirit is more of a transitional term in our society to coming to a place where we actually begin to reclaim the traditional terms that are within our cultures.
Oh, interesting. Now, Lauren, we have a clip from your film, Our Place in the Circle. Before we talk to you, let's take a look at that clip.
There's a much deeper truth about who we are that's been hidden from us. But today it's changing. The contemporary words like gay, queer, homosexual, they were all created by others who knew nothing about us as human beings. But when I heard Two-Spirited, it really resonated with me because we remind ourselves that we're spiritual beings, that has nothing to do with the sex at all.
So Lauren, what does it mean to you, Two-Spirited?
It's a term that I readily embraced when I was quite young, namely because it referred to me as a spiritual being as opposed to something about who I am, and focusing in on our sexuality, which to me is just a small part of who we are. you know, it doesn't make up our whole being. And
You mean like when you get described as a homosexual, you'd rather say two-spirited?
yeah, that's a word that I can't even relate to, and it's not something I'd ever use to describe myself, because I'm a whole human being first, you know, and my spiritual existence is far more greater than, you know, my sexuality will ever be in my whole lifetime. So it was a term that just fit really well with me, and I felt good when I described myself as a two-spirited person.
And I guess there's maybe a little bit of confusion for some people in terms of what two-spirited really means.
Yeah, well, my understanding of it right from the beginning was, the way it was described to me was that it had to do with our perspective. We know that men and women can see things very differently at times. And for a lot of us, we're born with this ability to see things completely and innately from both perspectives, from a male perspective or a female perspective. And I knew that about myself anyway growing up, just because of how I could relate to my sisters and women, and how I could relate to men and my male friends. And I understood both, you know, much deeper than I realized, you know, when I got older. I realized that I had a unique perspective compared to a lot of other people.
What about like a long time ago, before colonization? Do you have an understanding of the role of two-spirited people in the community?
Yeah, from what we learned from gathering for the last 20 years was that we know for sure that we had significant roles in our societies all across the land, not just here in Ojibwe territory, but, you know, down in the Navajo country or Choctaw country, or you know, all the different nations across the land. And we know that because there's descriptions in the language, and those words are as ancient as the language themselves. And so we discovered a lot of what those roles were. And there were...
What was the role?
Well, there's many different ones. You know, a lot of them had to do with the health of our community. Some were medicine pickers. Some took care of the orphan children, the sick and the elderly. And oftentimes, in some tribes, they would go out into territories that were unfamiliar or dangerous. They're the first ones that went out to, you know, scope things out and see, you know, how safe or dangerous different territories were. And I don't know.
Is their ability to communicate with the community and help leaders understand the needs and relate what the leaders want to have happen also?
Yeah.
I think there is also a place for neutrality as well, because sometimes two-spirited people were seen as in between, so not sort of being on one, you know, with one gender or the other. So a sense of neutrality in terms of, you know, discussing issues or coming to agreements and those kind of things. So.
Mm-hmm. And I understand that their uniqueness was pointed out at an early age, and those strengths were built upon as they grew up, right?
Yeah, as we learned, oftentimes in traditional societies, what our role was in life wasn't based on whether we were a boy or a girl. It was based on what our inclinations were as a child, and that's what was encouraged right from the beginning. And you know, if a girl wanted to go hunting with her brothers, they encouraged that. Or if a boy wanted to stay home and, you know, and sew things up with his granny, they encouraged that as well. So it was a very natural progression and support.
Yeah, not so much like girls play with dolls and boys play with cars. But Candy, you use a different word to describe yourself. Can you tell us what that is?
I do. I really appreciated what Lauren had to say there, particularly in his film about it not being about sexuality, because who I am it's not about who I have sex with. It's about who I love and who I feel an emotional connection to. I'm somebody, though, who I think is out of the box on so many levels, that I have embraced the word queer, because I think it talks about who I am on all different levels. I'm a lawyer who's not like other lawyers. I'm a comedian who's not like other comedians. My dad is Mi'kmaq. My mom is white. I was born into a poor family. I became a lawyer. I call myself a dichotomy, actually, quite often. But I just think the word queer embraces my not wanting to be put into a box. And I think two-spirited is a term that does the same thing. It doesn't make you have to have a label of gay or lesbian or, you know, traditionally in lesbianism, you even had to have a label once you were a lesbian. Are you a butch or a femme? And I think we're really moving away from those labels. And I'm a human being. I'm not, I'm not a product you can put a label on and put me in a box.
Tell us about The Candy Show.
The Candy Show just aired on APTN. And don't let them tell you that you have to be 100 pounds and blonde to get on TV, because I have proved that wrong. The Candy Show is about, it's a talk show, a variety show that really showcases everything that's fabulous about Atlantic Canada. The pilot had Eastern Eagle, which are an incredible drum group out of Indian Brook. We had Charlie Acorn, an incredible singer. I interview my musical guests on a big pink bed, which is a replica of my high school bedroom, where I used to play my records and dreamed of the day when I would get to interview musicians. So it's quite an exciting thing, and I think having a two-spirited Mi'kmaq woman on television is also a very unique thing.
Can you tell us a little bit about the origins of the term queer?
I'm not sure about the origins of it. I know that it was used derogatory for a while, and then the gay community kind of reclaimed it with the whole we're queer, we're here. And I searched for a term because I was I had a relationship with a man for a long time, for 12 years, and then I met my current partner, Denise. She and I have been together for 7 years, and I didn't feel right about calling myself a lesbian, because to me it was kind of like the tribe of the Wanabe, all these people that are being native all of a sudden, and I didn't want to be all of a sudden trying to claim her experience, because she went through school feeling on the outside. She had crushes on girls and thought she was the only one. I didn't, and I felt like if I said I was lesbian, that I would be stealing that experience from her, because I grew up with crushes on boys. And so queer was the first word I heard. I was actually, it's only about 5 or 6 years since I have been familiar with the term two-spirit, and I've done a lot of reading about it, really interesting books about two-spiritedness and what it meant pre-colonization. And going back to what Lauren said, I just really loved it because it didn't talk about sexuality. It talked about who we are as human beings and our ability to relate on both sides of the gender wheel, to to really have strong male and female energy. And that to me really kind of talks about who I am.
All right, when we return from the break, we look at the reality of discrimination and how it affects the human rights of two-spirited people.
Take part in tonight's show. Email contact@aptn.ca or call toll-free 1-877-647-2786.
I'm Holly Bernier.
And I'm Todd Lamoran. Tune in to our new one-hour APTN National News.
Get more in-depth coverage of the latest issues.
Fearing for the life of his partner, he jumped out and over the roof of the cruiser trained his gun at Campbell's Head.
More stories about the arts and entertainment.
But what about here? What about here in Canada?
As well as sports, politics, and human interest.
Join our team for APTN National News coverage.
Every Monday to Friday on APTN.
Hi, I'm David Orrick. All the joys in life are predicated on one thing, your health. In fact, half of all illnesses are caused or aggravated by polluted indoor air. Now, you wouldn't dream of drinking this polluted water. So why inhale it? We all want to drink clean water, but how clean is the air that you breathe? Germs and pollutants, allergens are all around us. And here's the proof. The dirt in this water was actually pulled out of the air that we breathe by my Orrick Professional Air Purifier. It captures and destroys bacteria, mold, viruses, and fungi. Plus, it removes odors and allergens. It uses the same air purification technology that's used in the U.S. Navy submarine fleet. It cleans your air in virtual silence 24 hours a day, and its permanent collector cell never needs replacing. Simply clean it off in the sink and reuse it again and again. Call me now and take the Auric Challenge. I'll send you my Auric XL professional air purifier to try for a full 90 days with no risk. Plus, I'll send you 2 free gifts. My incredible cordless refrigerator purifier, a $50 value, and my amazing 2-in-1 cord-free electric broom, a powerful hand vac and floor vac all in one. This $100 value is yours to keep, even if you decide to return the air purifier. And shipping and handling is on me. I'll even pay to ship the air purifier back if you decide not to keep it. You have nothing to lose, so call me right now.
All right, and we're going straight to a call. Rick, we have you on the line in the show. What would you like to add, Rick?
Yeah, so Two-Spirited People, the first time I ever heard about them was like 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm glad that brothers and sisters are coming out of their closets, and, you know, if it wasn't for them to come out and talk to us, you know, none of the young people would ever know any information about them. So it's a good thing that they do speak up because, you know, for the young people to understand, to let them understand so they can understand more what they can speak out about in the schools with the young people. You know, like, they don't speak enough. Like, there's not enough information out there for all of us, you know. We want information, but, you know, to get the right information, where do we get the information from?
Exactly, yeah, a big consideration for doing the show here tonight. Thank you very much for your comments, Rick. Candy, can you tell us how your experience was when you coming out?
It was interesting. I lost some friends when I came out. My family were great. My mother's reaction was actually, that's the first time you brought somebody home who has a job and has never been to jail. We love her. My taste in men was not very good, but I was raised in a Harley-Davidson dealership, so what could they expect? I wasn't going to fall in love with a banker. So my family were fabulous and continue to be. My family always tells me that when Denise and I break up, if we ever do, they're going to miss me. So I had no problem on the family front, but I did have some issues with friends moving away, moving kind of out of my inner circle. And I also, what I didn't expect, I thought that once I came out, that was the end of it. But once you come out, your parents then have to come out. And another TV station, a large Canadian TV station, did a 1-hour documentary on my life story. And in that documentary, my partner is there. And, you know, I'm talking about my orientation and my experience of coming out. And I realized later in discussions with my mother that she was very accepting of me, but she said, you know, at that point then the whole world knew. And so it was her experience of, well, you know, all her friends would then know that I was gay or queer or two-spirited, however you want to call it. And so I was a little surprised with that. However, I'm a very in-your-face kind of person, and I'm going to be 40 on Thursday, and it took me a long time to get to a place where I'm very comfortable in my own skin and with who I am. And so people don't have a right to choose whether it's okay with them or not, because I'm who I am and I love it, and if that's not cool with you, then you have to move on. It drives me nuts when I say to people that, you know, my partner's a woman, and they respond by saying, oh, I'm okay with that. And I say, really? Well, you know, I'm okay with the guy you married, too. Like, as if it matters to you if I'm okay. And so there's 3 women in my family. 2 of us are gay, and so we tell our straight sister all the time, you know, we just want you to know we're okay with the decision you have made.
What about you, Lauren? What was it like for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, even the term coming out, it comes from the origins of it is such a bad place, because the reason you're hiding inside of yourself in the first place is because of the fact that your life, you know, was in danger for many decades. It was like that, you know, and so that's the only reason you hid who you really were. But for me, coming out was, you know, a process of embracing who I was and getting to a place where I gave thanks to Creator for the fact that I am the way I am for a very good reason. And once you come out, you're kind of coming out for the rest of your life. Like, it doesn't really stop, you know, everywhere you go, it'll come up again. So you have to, you know, explain to people who you are. And that process just, it never ends. It's never ended for me. And, you know, and I don't mind, like, I'm really, you honored to say who I am, and that this is the way God made me, and this is the way I'm going to proceed in my life. So,
Lauren, do you find that you get frustrated though with people making assumptions the other way? So when we just went on vacation to Cuba, we specifically asked for a king-size bed. They saw two women who were in the room, and they gave us two single beds. And those kinds of things, when people make the assumption, it's one thing to have to keep coming out, but when people keep making the assumption that it has to be a heterosexual couple, that drives me bananas. I don't know about you two in the studio.
Yeah, I guess there's even when people go traveling, you have to kind of look for the countries that
are safe.
Yeah, where in some places it is against the law. Some places your life still is in danger, even here in Canada, unfortunately. But Albert, do you have an example of discrimination that you know of that's taking place in terms of human rights?
Yeah, I have a number of examples, I think, from across Canada with people who do actually stand up for their rights when they do experience discrimination. And it is a colleague of mine who was, it did affect his job. He lost his job, and he decided to make a complaint, and it was based around how he was ridiculed at work about being gay or two-spirited. And he did go to Human Rights Commission, lodge a complaint. It was heard, and they found in favor with him that he was discriminated against. And there was a judgment against the organization, and there was a monetary damages was paid for that, and it was with an Aboriginal organization. So I think, and I think that's why I think the caller about education is very important. I think it's very important for the Aboriginal community right now, especially with looking at the repeal of Section 67 with the Indian Act, in terms of that a human rights code will be applied to First Nations territories. And that I think for, educators or employers and in our communities, and that, in the next few years you won't be able to discriminate openly or secretly against people who work for you or who are members of your community, that they will have a way to, seek justice against that type of discrimination.
Candy, what do you foresee is going to begin to emerge now that people who are living on reserve can file human rights complaints?
I think it's fantastic, but because that protection has to be there. What worries me is whenever we have issues like this, we always say, oh, well, we're dropping the ball, but the next generation, they'll be the ones to solve this. Well, my day job is with the Department of Education in the province of Nova Scotia, and I spend a lot of time in schools, and an expression that is used all the time in schools now by kids is, oh, that's so gay. Whenever something is, that, something that they don't like or what have you, oh, that's so gay. And, that's homophobic language, and that children can use that in the schoolyard. If a kid comes to school with a peanut butter sandwich, the SWAT team is there to sweep them out because, God forbid, should somebody be allergic to peanuts. Mm-hmm. But kids are walking up and down the hall saying, that's so gay. And nobody is responding with a no-tolerance policy around that. And God help the poor gay child that's sitting in the classroom when their classmates are saying, that's so gay.
Yeah.
So human rights are great, but we have to start with education at a young age. And people have to understand the power of their language and what it does to exclude people. Mm-hmm. Especially as Aboriginal people, we are trying to say to the rest of Canada, be inclusive of us. Don't discriminate against us, yet within our own communities, people will discriminate against the gay community. It doesn't make sense to me.
Lauren, do you feel discrimination is worse in a community or in the cities, or is there a difference, you think?
Well, from the time when I was growing up, where your life was literally in danger if anyone knew that you were, two-spirited, and I found that it has improved a lot in many areas. I do have a lot of two-spirited friends who are very, truthful about who they are, where they work, and so on, and they're, they're doing well. And in my community, there's several other people that have, embraced being two-spirited, and it's okay. Like nobody discriminates against them openly, and.
This is different, for
Yeah,
different
the education
communities?
process is a really huge part of helping people understand that we all have our gifts and they're all different from one another, and that we need to embrace those things and use them to benefit our communities and our families and so on. And being two-spirited is one of those things, you know. And if anyone looks deeply enough, they'll find that a lot of two-spirited people are working in those areas that benefit the community overall. Mm-hmm. You know, they work in hospitals or the education system or family services areas, like all those sort of areas we're naturally attracted to. So it's like educating people on why we are the way we are, and helping them understand that we're whole human beings and that we have something to contribute mm-hmm. to our communities.
Now, Candy, with yourself being in a relationship for, did you say 12 years with a man, and then what happened there?
Yeah, you buy the same hamburger at the restaurant all the time, and then you try something else and you realize, whoa, it's a better menu over there. I had always enjoyed the company of women, and I enjoyed men as well. But what I get emotionally from a woman, and I shouldn't even say that, it's really what I get from my partner Denise. That relationship was kind of dying, that former relationship. I met a beautiful woman, and a lawyer from Ottawa, when I was on a conference, and we had a fling, and I decided, well, I want to date women for a while, and then I was fortunate to meet my partner Denise, and it just clicked for us from the very beginning. And I try to explain that to people, that it's not about the sex, it's about emotionally what I feel from Denise is unlike anything I have ever felt before. And if she'll have me, I hope she'll be with me forever. We're engaged. Thankfully, we live in a country, unlike our neighbors to the south, where we can legally get married. And I think Canadians have to understand that. We're two women that both work. She's a real estate agent. I'm a recovered lawyer. We live in the city of Halifax. We pay tax. We buy groceries. We mow our lawn. We do all the things that a family does. And why Canadians have to be so concerned with what happens in our bedrooms at night, I just don't know.
Interesting story. We have a caller on the line, Jameus. Am I pronouncing that properly?
Good evening, Jameus.
Thank you
from
for joining
Toronto.
us. Yes. What would you like to add?
Well, I was addressing here, what does the term two-spirited mean to you? And I remember when the term came out a number of years ago and really wondering, my gosh, I certainly never heard any of my elders using that term. And I remember my elders coming to me and asking me, what does it mean? And I said, I really don't know. And I know that it means... I remember saying to people, well, you might as well call yourself a Kellogg's cornflake, for about as much basis on tradition as it really might have. I don't think it's a traditionally based term at all, albeit I think it came from well-meaning young men. I really think that in days gone by, your aunties or your mother or your grandma, they knew, and the term in everyone's language was different.
Okay.
That person was different, and that was the term that was used.
Different.
Well,
and we all knew what that meant.
Okay.
It wasn't two-spirited. And, well, thank you for your program tonight.
Thank you for your call.
Well, we talked to an Ojibwe linguist here in Manitoba, and I think, as we reclaim our culture and we look at language, because a lot of us speak English, a lot of us don't speak our language, even as academics. And I think our work with the linguists, the people who know the language thoroughly, so we shared with an Ojibwe linguist the term agokwe, and he interpreted it to mean hidden woman. And so to me, it speaks about that, you know, it could be applied to a man who is feminine, and so that this man would have within him a hidden woman. So it's more imaginative descriptors. In the Navajo culture, they're called nadles. And nadles represent fertility. So I think, you know, we come from very complex, sophisticated cultures, and I think we're using the term two-spirited just to, you know, we've gotten a lot of attention, obviously, because people are curious. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, before the show, I talked about, I think if we, you know, said that we were Aboriginal gays and lesbians, I don't think it would have the same impact in our community in terms of it would, you know, catch people's imagination to explore their own culture and their own language to find out just how people live before Europeans came
I think
here.
it's also important to understand that a term like different, which is an in-the-closet term, it's, oh, there's something wrong with him or her and we don't want to talk about it. And the people who remember that being done with the aunties and the grandmas and the ancestors or the elders, that's in a post-colonial time. That's after Christianization taught us that our language, our ways, and anything outside of Adam and Eve was a sin that we were going to hell for. So we can't ignore that colonial impact on the way that we are viewed as two-spirited people within the community. And using a term like different, which means that, you know, the opposite of different would be normal or the same, I think that's part of the Christianization, of the colonization of Aboriginal people, and I feel sad that people are still in a place where they are internally racialized or internally colonized in that way.
All right. Now, in Canada, same-sex couples have had full legal rights since July 20th, 2005. South of the border, it varies by state. In Oklahoma, same-sex marriages are not recognized, but marriages performed and recorded by a sovereign Cherokee Nation are honored. After the break, we'll talk about this more as we continue our two-spirited discussion.
Take part in tonight's show. Email contact@aptn.ca or call toll-free 1-877-647-2786.
See what everyone's talking about. Come together with My APTN. My APTN is where you can find special offers, contest information, monthly newsletters, and inside scoops. Log on to aptn.ca and sign up for a My APTN membership. When you do, you'll be eligible to enter online contests and special promotions. Be the first to hear what's new. Come together with My APTN. Register today.
We just love our new Noma solar LED Christmas lights.
Got them at Canadian Tire.
They're really bright, and they recharge themselves during the day, even when it's cloudy, and they don't have any extension cords, so we can put them anywhere.
What do you mean, we?
Paul might have even gone a little bit overboard.
Paul went overboard.
Noma solar LED Christmas lights, only at Canadian Tire.
These are the faces of our future. Many of our children who are without bands or settlement membership are growing up away from our culture. We must give them back their spirit and let them know that they belong. Adopt a Native child. Bring our children home.
Serious sore throat sufferers know Cepacol stops sore throat pain seriously fast.
I do!
In lozenge or spray, Cepacol stops pain fast.
When I first started getting tattooed, I was a skinny little teenager, probably about 120 pounds. And, you know, when I'd be hanging out, I needed something to look fierce. And these tattoos helped me back then to look fierce because there wasn't much else to me. At this point in my life, I'm a father. I've got, you know, a teenage daughter and a 7-year-old daughter, and I don't need the intimidation factor so much anymore. So it's not important to me.
Welcome back. Joining us by phone from Grove, Oklahoma, are two women who tied the knot in 2004. After Kathy Reynolds and Don McKinley's ceremony, the Cherokee Nation Tribal Council approved a change to tribal law that would officially define marriage as the union of a man and woman. This law was not retroactive and it did not affect the couple's marriage. However, the legal challenge to have the couple's marriage invalidated was mounted twice. First by a member of the Cherokee Nation, followed by 9 tribal council representatives. In both instances, the petitioners failed to show that the marriage caused them harm, and the Cherokee court found that they weren't affected by the marriage in any way. But the legal status of Kathy and Don's marriage is still in jeopardy, and they're now facing a third court case. Welcome to the show, Kathy and Don.
Thank you.
So, Kathy, what is this third case about?
This third case is involving the court clerk that would actually file our marriage certificate.
What's the issue with the court clerk?
She has decided that she would be criminally liable if she were to file our certificate.
Oh, even though you were married and it was accepted, and that was, like, what's been the holdup in filing this since 2004?
Right now, we're waiting on an order from the court for the court to rule that we can file it. There's a moratorium on us filing our certificate until the court gives us an order.
So why do you feel the court clerk won't file?
We believe it's politically motivated. However, there's no real way of knowing that for sure, but we believe it's absolutely politically motivated.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean by politically motivated?
At the time, the last time we took our certificate to her to be signed, she was in tears when she wrote on the bottom of her certificate that she could not file it due to laws that were being handled at the moment, and she said, it wasn't a decision of hers. So we believe that it's not her individual doing as it is politically motivated.
Can you tell us a little bit about the argument against your marriage?
The nation's argument is that we are breaking down the institution of marriage and having our marriage, and the issue with the filings against us, there has not been any proven actual harm that our marriage has caused anyone, and that's why no one has had standing so far.
Okay, now, Dawn, how do you feel about the California state's constitution being changed to say it's a union between a man and a woman?
Can you please ask that again? I didn't get all that.
Yeah, I was just wondering how you feel now with the election. Things in the state of California have changed in terms of marriage. It's now in law that it's got to be restricting the definition of marriage to a union of a man and woman. How do you feel about that change in that state constitution?
Well, again, I don't think that it has to be a man and a woman to have a marriage. I believe it's, as long as it's two individuals that love each other and that want to be one, it shouldn't have to be between a man or a woman or be labeled as that. I think that I hate it for those that are out in California that have, this is the second time that they've tried this and they've taken their license back from them, and I hope for them that they can get that overturned again. And I would hope that we had gone far enough in society that come along that we can we wouldn't be fighting this battle still today. But
what does your marriage mean to you?
My marriage means to me is the love that I have for my wife, and that we are a family. And I have said from day one, they can take the license back. They can hold us up in court from now till the day we die, but they'll never take our love from each other and the love that we have between each other. And we are a family no matter what. No, and we should have the right as anyone else. I hate it. I have 3 brothers, and that I don't have the same right that they have, and to marry and to be an equal individual as they are. And I hate it that I can't have the same rights that they have.
Have you been actively fighting to have your marriage validated and filed?
Yes, we have. You know, this is going on 4.5 years now. And I've always believed if the heterosexuals had to fight for 4.5 years for their marriage license, our divorce rate wouldn't be as high as it is.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very much, Kathy and Dawn, for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you for having us.
Stay with us for our final segment. Still ahead, a young actor and what he's doing to confront the issue of homophobia.
APTN News is now available with a click of a button. At aptn.ca, you can catch the news live through streaming video and check out archived newscasts. APTN National News Primetime, APTN National News Daytime, APTN Contact. Log on to aptn.ca/streaming.
Over your decades of driving, you've seen it all. You've negotiated 158 downpours, stopped for 18 balls, 14 dogs, and 2 unidentified objects. You can add in 468 trips to hockey, swimming, plus countless blizzards. In your years of driving, you've seen it all, more than once, which makes you one of the better drivers on the road. And now your experience and good judgment can save you money, too.
If you are 50 or over with a clean driving record, you're eligible for the Experience Advantage through Gray Power.
To find out how much Gray Power's Experience Advantage could save you, call us at 1-866-494-5010.
The Experience Advantage could save you up to $400 per year on your car insurance.
To find out how much you could save, call now. Insure your car and home with Gray Power and save even more. Call 1-866-494-5010.
Our old Christmas tree tradition. Dad and Mom take a long time setting up. We would get so bored and fall asleep. This year, Dad bought this new Noma self-shaping tree from Canadian Tire. It has some kind of wire that remembers the perfect shape. Well, we set up really, really fast, and it looks just like a real tree. I tried to help him decorate a section, but you know these kids. They never listen.
The Noma self-shaping tree, only at Canadian Tire.
Do you have your Lotto 649 Happy Dance ready? Here are some of the latest Lotto 649 winners. Start practicing those dance steps because you could be next.
NADA envisions diabetes-free people.
Celebrating our cultures and sharing our journeys. APTN, Aboriginal Peoples Television Network.
Welcome back to our final segment of the show tonight about the two-spirited. We have heard that it's a modern term, a transitional term. We're now seeing the traditional words taking its place as people are reclaiming their culture. To talk about that, we're joined by a young actor, Wawate Fobister, on the line from Toronto, Ontario. Welcome to the show, Wawate.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you're a 24-year-old Ojibwe from Grassy Narrows, Ontario, who created a play, Agokwe. It means gay love on the reserve, or just addition to the title. The play is a coming-out story that explores love between two teenage boys living on the res and their struggle for acceptance in the First Nation. Wawate, without mentioning names, have you experienced discrimination?
Yes, I have. I experienced it a lot on my reserve and off the reserve by both Aboriginal and non-natives, with living in a small, both in Kenora and on my reserve.
How did your family feel about you coming out?
My family was very supportive. Like, they didn't really understand, but then they were just like, well, you know, we love you no matter what. We don't understand it, so we can't really guide you on what to expect or what to experience, because I don't know how to. I've never really experienced. They've never had anyone gay that they knew, so they said you're going to have to experience and, you know, guide through yourself through my journey. They said they'll support me and they love me and they'll, you know, support me in whatever I can. But, you know, this journey that I'm in my life, I guess, as a gay, two-spirited person here, they said we'll support you and they love you. So they were very actually supportive.
Was that that beginning of your journey part of the reason why you left your home community?
Well, I just knew that I needed to leave because, like, I knew I wouldn't be able, like, and I guess when I was thinking when I was young, I was like, you know what, I wanted to find love. And I don't think I would be able to find it on the reserve. Not a healthy one, though, anyway.
And did you find love?
Actually, yes, I did.
Found some good love, it sounds like.
Yes, I have a partner of nearly 4 years now.
Wow-wee, that's great. Congratulations.
That's like 20 years in gay time, so that's really good.
Especially young gay time.
That's right.
So, Wawate, tell us a little more about your play.
My play, well, my play started actually as a ramble, just about experiences of me in high school, and you know the rejection and the fear of coming out, and me having a crush on this boy that I liked, and he had a crush on me, but we couldn't. We didn't have. I don't know. Because we weren't. I guess brave enough to come out and tell each other until like one night, and it was really brief. And it's actually a tragedy story because, and after that, I had to move away. I moved to Toronto here, and then I think, and then we're like, you know, and then I wanted to go back, so I came back to actually to his reserve, and then I wanted to go see him, but when I came back, he'd passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
And yeah, and it was suicide, and this is because I believe it was like he couldn't accept of who he was because of the situation, you know, the society of homophobia, and you know he just didn't have that support, which you know just kind of sad. So my play talks about how the society today doesn't allow young gay people to be who they are.
So how did you come upon the term Agokwe?
The term Agokwe, I first heard it when I moved to Toronto, actually, and it's from Two Spirits of the First Nations. I've heard it from the executive director there first, and then I explored it more, and then I spoke to more elders, and they told me about it too. Then I did my research. I have books and it's read about that term in there, and like many other, there's so many different languages, as you know, across Turtle Island, and every nation has their own word for it.
Now,
and then the Schnabel word for us was the Guquet, so that's why I used that. And they pretty much all had the same kind of roles and responsibilities. You know, some were different within various different communities, but, you know, they kind of had the same, similar type of philosophy behind it.
What's been the response to your play?
The response to the play has been amazing. It's been, you know, I had a lot of people come up to me and just like say, "Oh my God, your play is so moving, very powerful," and you know, and a lot of young people come to me, even that were not Native. They're like, "Your piece is so inspiring," and you know, like they can. You know, they can
helping open their eyes to a wider reality on things. We have a caller on the line that we're going to go to. Her name is Crystal. Crystal, what would you like to add to our discussion tonight about two-spiritedness?
Yes. I think that two-spirited is like, you know, for gays to be gay, that's all right. You know, nobody has no discrimination from them. But our ancestors in the past, like, way before the white man came to our country, I don't think the Indians were gay. Like, you know, I don't think they were man and wife, and families were families, you know. And then all of a sudden, things changed for them, you know, when the white man came, and then they were taken to residential school, and a lot were sexually abused. And it's passed on, like, you know, and some people don't ask to be gay, and they say they're born gay and all this, but, you know, I'm pretty sure the natives way back then, they weren't born gay.
There's all kinds of research, academic research that debates what that caller is saying. And I mean that, you know, that's what people want to tell themselves. It's, you know, it's because we've been sexually abused, or it's because of the environment we were raised in. You know, love is love. We are who we are. There's examples of it all the way back in history that people are still making a comment about the sanctity of marriage or the breakdown of marriage. If you weren't out protesting when Michael Jackson married Lisa Marie Presley, don't talk to me about your worry around the sanctity of marriage. Because if there was a time to protest, that was it. When two people love one another, they should grasp it for all they're worth. And people that try to say it's about the sanctity of marriage or it's a new thing, it's not a new thing. It's been around since Roman times and before that.
Yeah, it's a common, you know, misunderstanding that somehow Europeans brought gayness here and so on, and we know that that's just not true. Like, if it's true in the sense that we weren't identified as a separate people from our own communities because we were so integrated. Exactly. We were so built into the health of our societies and our purpose for being who we were that it didn't really come up. When you were born two-spirited, that's who you were, and they focus on what is it you're going to contribute to that society as an adult when you grow up. You know, what are your skills, what are your gifts, what are you going to bring to the people? And, you know, we know that this thing about this just coming about recently is not true, and there's a common link to what the abuse that people have gone through in residential schools, and that's an entirely different thing. I mean, that was abuse, that's sexual abuse, and that's not who we are, and it has nothing to do with who we are. I was never abused. You know, I was born to a loving family, and some were Christian, some were traditional, and you know, I am the way I am because this is the way God made me.
Albert, what do you see being done to educate about homophobia?
Not very much, and I think again it is that I think oppression is really fueled by indifference, and that people know there's knowledge out there, but they don't seek it. Whether you're an educator, whether you're a First Nations leader, whether you're a First Nations mother who has possibly, you know, transgender child, and not standing up for your own kin in protecting their rights is your problem as the individual, and it's your indifference. You know, it's your empowerment. I do educational workshops in the community on many human rights issues, and rarely do I get asked to talk about homophobia. And it really talks about that, you know, people themselves are oppressed in not having the liberty to explore those types of issues in our community.
Yeah, anything to do with sex, whether it's same sex or different
I think
sex,
the
it's
whole
hard,
issue
not
around
always easy to talk about.
sexuality and sexual reproduction is part of colonization and oppression. And I think through the residential school period, that was something that was taken away from our community, and especially from the women who were midwives.
And our communities better be careful, because what's happening in the United States is that in California, they're letting people vote to deny constitutional rights to gay people. Once that becomes a precedent, that's the thin edge of the wedge. The next thing you know, you're going to be letting people vote to deny Aboriginal people their rights. Are we okay with that? Are we okay with coming to a place where we're going to let Canadians vote that there's no fiduciary duty? It's constitutional protection. You can't get to a place where people let their biases impact on another person's rights and freedoms.
Is there a final thought that you'd like to leave us with tonight, Candy?
I think just that, love is love, and in the world that we're in, torn by war, torn by all kinds of atrocities happening all over the globe, when two people in that environment can find one another and can find love, then that should be a celebration for everyone. And people should come from a place of love instead of from a place of hate when trying to exclude us.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very much, Candy, for joining us all the way from the East Coast there. We're pretty much out of time in our discussion tonight, yet there's so much more to talk about and so many different thoughts about this issue. I just want to thank our guests, Lauren, Albert, Candy, Wawate, Dawn, and Kathy for joining us, and for everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. We hope you can join us again next time on Contact. If you have thoughts, opinions, or maybe questions about third-party management of First Nations, tune in next week. Third-party managers get paid well for their services, but is that the best way of handling a crumbling system? Hope you can join us next Wednesday for another live broadcast at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Have a good night, and thanks for helping us make contact.
If you wear prescription glasses, you know protecting your eyes from the sun can be a real problem. Clip-ons let light shine right in from the sides, and prescription sunglasses cost a fortune. Now there's a better solution. Introducing HD Vision Wraparounds. They're lightweight sunglasses that wrap around your prescription lenses, and they feature our unique HD Vision technology that gives you clarity and enhanced color like you've never experienced before. Just like high-definition revolutionized TV, HD lenses enhance your vision and produce unsurpassed clarity and optical definition. And when you see the color and clarity, you will truly be amazed.
It's the colors, everything's just so vivid. It makes things seem almost brighter.
You know what? These are great, and they are so clear.
These glasses look like really designed sunglasses, and they can start at $200 and go up to $400 or $500.
The color and clarity are amazing.
HD Vision Wraparounds have a modern European styling that looks great, and yet they're durable. You could spend more money, but you can't get better sunglasses.
I love them. Where can I buy them?
On this special TV offer, you can get your HD Vision Wraparounds for the incredible price of just $29.95. We'll also include our patented visor clip for your car. At $10 value, yours free. But wait, call right now and we'll also include our night vision wraparounds. Perfect for driving at night. They cut the glare of oncoming headlights but enhance your ability to see everything else. And they're yours free. Just pay shipping and handling. Every pair comes with our 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not completely blown away, return them for a full refund. Enhance your vision with high-definition color and clarity. Don't wait. Call now.
APTN, celebrating our culture.